Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 28 of the Scottish Silverback podcast. And we're kindly joined again by Joe Ballinger. So we were going to record this on Sunday, but that didn't happen. So Tuesday nights, just as good. So basically, Joe, like it's been a while. So I can't remember when you were last on. It must have been what, summertime?
Yes.
So if you want to just kind of let us know what you've been up to in that, and because I know last year you had quite an eventful competitive streak. Done pretty much every show in Europe at one point.
I'm skint.
Aye.
He was stock because he was skint.
You want to just talk us through your season last year and then touch up on what you're going to do this year?
Yeah, man, of course. So I think last time we spoke, were we mid-prep?
I think it was just before the British fight. It was before the first show.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, right, because I was with Patrick at the time.
Yeah.
But we spoke about that and obviously transitioning to the different approach with Patrick from where I was before with Jordan, etc. So yeah, like to cut a long story short, obviously we're all going for the pro card as we all know, and probably everyone listening knows. Did the first show, the regional. I did the British finals, and I did Spain, all under Patrick. And then after I came second in Spain, very close with Rob Cannon, who went on to win his pro card, deservedly so as well. He looked awesome. But after that show, Patrick and I spoke. I came off stage. I was like, obviously disappointed, but still, kind of on a high because the judges came backstage. Or one of the judges came backstage, and he was like, "You need to go again." He was like, "That was so close. We couldn't decide between the two of you." When they called us back on stage, when we first went off, he was like, "I shouldn't tell you this, but you're in first place."
Oh.
We came back on and I fucked it up basically. But yeah, I think I just flattened off, but you know how it is. And he's just a fucking lump, innit? He just loads of muscle. Anyway, just speaking to Patrick, he was really not keen for me to compete again. Like really, really not keen. He was like, "No, you need a rest." And I was like, with all due respect, I don't think that I do. We got bloods done previously, about 2 weeks before that, which were all good. I personally felt good. Everything was in a good spot. And there was literally no reason for me to pull the plug on prep time, especially having that feedback from that one judge. I then went round to speak to the main judges, like Bill Sibilia, etc. And they're all like praising me, saying you did really well. You definitely need to go again. And I was like, okay. But a panel of judges telling you that you're gonna go again, right? To be fair, even if I was fucked, I was probably gonna go again. But I felt really good. And anyway, we had this conversation. He was just not on it. So, and this is, I'd never say a bad word against him at all because he was a fantastic coach. He got me in incredible shape, the best I've been in to date at that point. But I think you guys know as athletes, you need the backing of the person who's coaching you. And if you don't feel like that, their confidence is there in you, is their approach going to be different? And like when you're fucking peeled out of your brain, you're in peak week, you're not really thinking super straight anyway. So you're like, you don't want to have any doubts or anything, any thoughts like that. So for me, it was, I'm going to compete again, but I need to do it with someone that is going to, back me all the way sort of thing. And I'd already been speaking a little bit to Joe, obviously Joe from Physique Collective, Joe Jeffrey, not any way at all about coaching. I hadn't thought about switching or anything like that. We just generally chatted. I went to see him, did some video stuff. We did like some stuff for YouTube because obviously he's an incredibly clued up guy. His knowledge on all areas of bodybuilding, especially like PEDs and drug usage and things like that is far superior to probably most people within the industry. So that kind of really pulled me in, just his knowledge and his approach to things, which is quite different, which I'll probably come to explain to you about in a minute, to anything I've really done before. Anyway, so it just seemed like a logical choice at the time. I spoke with Joe. He was more than happy to take me on, even though his books are full. So we had the chat, and he was like, look, obviously this is quite he's like, I don't normally take people on at this stage for obvious reasons, but I was in a bit of not a crisis, I suppose, but it was like it was going to happen. It was one way or the other. Someone was going to have to pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
well, I say pick up the pieces. There weren't pieces to pick up, but it take me from one show to the next. And I believe after Spain, it was 2 weeks into Poland. I went to Poland. We did our first show, and that was my first ever time trying fat load, which worked really well. We brought probably a better look than Spain, slightly drier, but it came third in Poland. I was quite disappointed with that. I would have thought after that there was a guy called Big Mike who actually went on to beat in Norway, but Big Mike's he's a big dude. I thought he was going to win. He came second, and some other Polish guy came first. So 2 Poles that came first and second at the Polish show. We'll leave that there. And yeah, and then so that was kind of our first run out, first like tested things. We did a heavy carb load, and on I think it was Thursday, I think we did like 1,400 gram carbs, which is more than I've ever done before, following a 3-day fat load at 0 carb, which I hadn't done since I was like fucking 80 kilos. I mean, it's normally things are like, right, we'll taper things down, but never down to a point of 0.
Yeah.
Even though it was a fat load, the calories themselves was still at maintenance, so the fat was really high. It was like, I think it was like 180 grams or something like that, so it was pretty high. And that first approach, it kind of we kind of did it together, and then on the next time I was like, right, you tell me what to eat rather than me have an input sort of thing, so I don't even have to think about it. Because with fat loading, it's important that you're mainly using mono and polyunsaturated fats as opposed to the others which can have a different effect on the body. So I think you need to use, there's not like a specific percentage, but pretty much mostly those.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's going to be like trace carbs and veggies and stuff, but pretty much 0 carb. And then from there, we kept that approach all the way through, and from show to show it just got better and better. And it was quite interesting that by the last show we actually dropped a day of carb loading off, like a whole day off, and I actually only did 750 grams carb load following a 4-day fat load. That's all I did, and that was my best look. So
right, okay.
It shows you that, well, obviously everyone's completely different, because some people need fucking 2,000 grams over 3 days or whatever. And I'd have thought my physique, because I'm not as big and bubbly as some of the other guys, you'd think I'd maybe need more carb loading, but it actually makes me spill. And then you've got that crisp, skin's like flickering sort of look. Granite look. I kind of lost that. Lost it, but on that first Poland show, I was lean, but I knew I could be leaner. Everyone's like, "You peeled?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm peeled, but I know I can be leaner." When like
a bodybuilder, eh?
Yeah. It's like, I know I can be better than that. And also after that Poland show, I was kind of like, me and Joe have only been working together for like 12 days at this time. I was like, sweet, let's refine the process, go to the next one. Went to Finland, won Finland, went to the overall, got beat by some, I think he was Ukrainian or something like that. Some of the other sides of the world.
Something like that.
Yeah, he's a pretty good bodybuilder. If I'm completely honest, and I'm never the kind of guy to take anything away from anyone. I thought I should have won that show. I thought one point there, but it is what it is. It's bodybuilding. We were back ourselves, and I've looked back on the day, and then you look back at pictures and photos, and I'm like surprised that I lost that, but
yeah,
it wasn't my fucking day. It is what it is, and I'm fully accepting of that. And I think as bodybuilders, we have to be able to take a kick in the teeth from time to time, because there's more kicks in the teeth than it is, not.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then from then I also went to Norway 2 weeks after that. Again, refined the process a little bit more. Each time collating more data about how my body was responding throughout the weeks. And that's when we decided to drop off another day, because I think Poland we did 1,400 into 800. That was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday we did like a control day of a fat load. So we kept that approach for all of them. And then for Finland, we did, I think it was 1,000 into 700, so less. And then we decided to completely drop off the 1,000 day, just do about 750. which brought about the best look by a mile. So I won that, went through to the overall and lost to Oscar, and Oscar was obviously incredible on the day. So I don't mind that one. He looked phenomenal. So all respect to him. So I lost out to a couple of very good bodybuilders last year, which again I don't mind at all. It's all part of the sport. I had a fucking amazing year traveling around. Quite expensive, obviously.
I was waiting to say, fucking hell.
Spent a lot of money, but when you're like, fuck, I was so close. Let's go again. What's next?
Yeah.
I'd already lined them all up anyway. You know what I mean? So that's how we do. But it was a very good year. I really enjoyed it, despite not getting the final piece. As far as bodybuilding goes, I had an incredible experience. It sounds a bit kind of cheesy, but meeting all these people, everyone's with the same mindset and all that kind of stuff. I just had the most amazing year. It was sick. So I did 6 shows all in all. By the time I finished the 6th one, I still didn't feel like that fucked. I probably could have gone again, but that was my best look.
Yeah.
And I was ringing Joe straight after the Norway show. I was like, do I go again? And he was like, I'll back you if you want to go. He was like, but I would probably say, look, let's pull it now.
Yeah.
Because he was like, you don't need to get so much better. He was like, let's pull, we'll work up for a couple of months and you can go early next year. And at that point I was like, you know what? I'm skinned. Now for real, I was just like, okay, no, that sounds good. And obviously like things like business and stuff like that are obviously a massive priority for me and my clients as well. I've got a lot of clients who rely on me for daily, and obviously I was still putting in the work, and it just gets, as you guys know, you don't want to burn the wick at both ends too much. Like I did in 2020. 2020, I just fucked myself up big time. But yeah, this year, and I also believe part of the approach that we did allowed me to elongate my season as far as I did. Because if I carried on the way I was doing things before or had done previously, I could have carried on, but the look would have either got worse, or my health would have gone down, or I'd have just well at shows, and that would have kind of been the end of that, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
6 shows is a lot.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a lot to people these days. I mean, look at the guys back in the 90s, they were doing competing all year round. But I mean, to hear somebody do 6 shows now, that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the first show was the regional. When was the British finals? It was July something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my regional was like.
It was just before that, was it? It was
about 2 weeks before that.
Yeah.
And for that show, I'd only been on prep from my peak off season weight for just over 7 weeks at the time, I think. So we didn't come in fully peeled and peaked and shit for that. So that wasn't even I wouldn't even class that as a show in terms of the physiological effects on the body. So because we didn't try and peak or push anything, so that wasn't anything there. Obviously, we did come down more for the British finals, where it came 3rd, which I was kind of happy with, but kind of not, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think obviously Connor came 2nd, and then you had Maris who came 1st. So much muscle, I think, probably condition-wise, probably as we know, probably lacking.
I still think that's probably the most controversial show of the year.
I think, we had a lot of controversy. I'm going to turn this heater off because it's fucking 100 degrees there. There we go. But and then obviously we had the rest of the shows, Scandinavian shows, Poland, Spain. Spain I really enjoy. I think I've done Spain, I think 4 times now over the years. In fact, I've done it every year since 2018. I did my first IFBB show in Spain, in the classic days, when I used to get under 100 kilos. I think I nearly died doing that prep, I'm not even joking. It was a good year. It was a good year all around, apart from not getting the coveted card. But our time will come at some point.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a show I want to do. I definitely want to do the Alicante show at one point.
Yeah, honestly, just Alicante as a city is so nice. It's not too big. It's got everything it would be. It's the gyms aren't incredible, but they're good enough. And it's fucking hot. The people are nice. It's just a nice place to be. Around the show, when you kind of get a bit of I don't want to call it holiday because it's not holiday, but some downtime. It's to do that. I've been to some shows abroad and a bit oof, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like I think when you finish a show, I mean, like obviously Denmark was my first kind of competing abroad, but I love like coming off stage and you get to go and explore somewhere, and there's like different foods and places you've never seen, and it's like that weight's off your shoulders. You can just totally relax and enjoy yourself. It's the better experience.
But the bakeries in Denmark were pretty good, right?
Yeah.
That.
I was a little shocked at the prices of everything, but I was just like, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah, it was. The Scandinavia was fucking expensive. I remember in Finland.
It's nuts, is it? It's nuts.
I was like, I couldn't live it the way I live my life. It's carnage, man.
I was like paying like £10 for like 2 average coffees in the morning. I was like, the fuck?
Crazy, isn't it? It was an espresso, fucking just sipping it away. Like.
Yeah, it's most expensive, better be good.
Yeah, man.
So, just now, what are you planning for this year?
So I'm doing the Ben Weider in just under 7 weeks now. Obviously, don't have to re-qualify for that. Obviously, you boys know the rule change that came in. I think anyone that qualified within the year of Ben Weider can still do it, but any pro qualifier after that, you then have to re-qualify. So I'm not actually sure if, say for example, I didn't get what I wanted at Ben Weider, would I have to re-qualify again to do another pro qualifier?
Surely not.
I think so.
That wouldn't pass as a qualifier.
I think it's because Ben Weider still classes as
not regional
2021.
Right.
In a way.
Fuck knows what. You'd think if you do the Ben Weider, you could then do another pro qualifier.
Yeah. Because they did that in 2020, didn't they? Even though it was just after.
Yeah. We'll see. Well, we've done enough fucking shows of them. They should let us.
Giving two bros enough fucking money.
Yeah, 100%. But I know you're doing obviously the Arnolds, aren't you? And then, well, you're going to get your pro card there, so we don't even need to talk about it.
We'll see, mate. We'll see. I think on my stories this morning, I was just saying, like, as much as like we all want to win, like that's just a fucking given. I am very much a realist as well. You know, I'm going over to America, the biggest country in terms of bodybuilding. I know Americans don't really do the amateur Arnold USA, but you know it's probably one of the biggest amateur shows. I only know of one person that's doing it. He's a unit. So yeah, I mean, I'm just going to see how. I think the photos that I took this today post workout, I think that's the best I've ever looked. So we'll wait and see what happens at the Arnold, mate. I'd love to do the Ben Weider, truthfully. But obviously I'm not, I don't want to like book anything just now, you know what I mean, like register for it. So
psychologically you don't want to be thinking at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Last year I just do that show and I was like, I'll deal with that when I get to it.
Exactly. Yeah,
I'll deal with it.
If you think about it or book it, your mind's already there. You're already thinking about, I'm going to lose this, I'm going to have to plan this. It's like you shouldn't even plan or book. Like, this is, my eggs are in this basket.
100%.
Yeah.
Just keep time free and then don't plan anything.
Like,
you plan to win, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so it's like I said, this has been the best prep. This is in terms of like motivational dips. This has been one of the hardest preps because I've had by the time I'm done, that's almost a year on prep basically. So there have been some big like dips in terms of like staying focused, staying motivated. But in terms of like the physique itself, this has definitely been the best prep I've ever done. So yeah, we'll wait and see, mate. But I'd love to stand next year on the Ben Weider stage. I think that'd be quality. But we'll wait and see what happens, mate. So but yeah,
anyone else is doing it.
What was that?
Do you know anyone else is doing the Ben Weider?
Mark Joyce is potentially going to be doing it.
Oh yeah. I see he's in Kuwait now, is he?
I actually messaged him the other day because I saw he was at Kuwait, and I was like, "Yes, bro, how you doing? Like, what you up to? What's plans this year?" And he was like, "Because of the rule change, he was like, I've had to bring everything forward a little bit." He was like, you know, because again, obviously, he did Arnold's with you boys, and then he was like, so obviously, he had a bit of time off, you know, time off cycle, etc. And he spoke to his coach, his name Ahmed, over in
yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
And he was like, you can be ready if you want to be ready, so let's do it. So he's gone over to do like a little bit of a little camp, so to speak, in Kuwait. Yeah. Mate, I saw his story. He was like, "Here's my apartment. Here's Oxygen Gym." I was like,
yeah, it's literally joined it.
That is fucking cool. Anyway, so he's actually going to do the Kuwait Classic first.
Right.
So, you know, he got the potential to be, you know, get his pro card there, but there's some obviously absolute units out there as well. So,
anyone coming from that side of the border is just fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. So obviously you've got Mark, me, potentially yourself, Andy. Other than that, I don't know any supers. I know a couple of heavies. I know one of Joe's clients, Dean McKillop, Aussie guy. He looks very good. Who else we got? Matt Tofton. He's doing it. Other than that, I don't really know many other bodybuilders doing it. But all of them,
Matt's doing his own prep now.
Say that again.
I think Matt's doing his own prep.
Yeah, he's He was with SAS before, I think. But now
yeah, I think he's left.
Doing his own thing. I think
Yeah,
he's still doing well, obviously your own thing, but working with like your old coach, kind of falling back a little bit, or what's the crack?
What with
you? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. What was the question? Sorry.
It's miles away.
Yeah, you've went back to Nick.
Yeah. Sorry. Right. Fucking hell, mate. On my brain. Anyway. Yeah. So for those who don't know, I worked with Nick Vandal from the ages of about 22. As a junior, won quite a lot as a junior. Won the PCA overall, British, won the overall NABA. So I've done a lot with Nick. And like obviously, like yourself, I was with Patrick for a year and a half. Learned a lot in the off season. But when it came to the contest prep, don't get me wrong, he got me fucking peeled. There's no doubt about that. But I felt like my feedback was kind of falling on deaf ears a wee bit. When I carb load or when I do high days, I need a lot of food. Like, I don't know about yourself, mate, but I was getting like sprinklings of carbs on the high days. So I was like, this isn't doing anything. And before I knew it, I was over dieted. The carb ups to the shows were nowhere near enough. And I did say all this to him. And after the bodies regional, I said, look, mate, I know who I'm going up against at the Arnold. You know, I'm up against Greg. I'm up against Josh. Some big fucking boys. I need to be full as fuck. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. We'll do that. No problem at all. And then it's like, right, we'll do a 3-day carb load. I was like, brilliant. At least that's an extra day. And then on the third day, 3 days out, he lowered my food. And I was like, no, that's not right. But what do? You're in that mindset already. You're like, like I'm just going to do as I'm told.
Just do what I did and leave.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Coach.
So, and then the carb load on the Friday before, the Thursday before, it was comical, to be honest. And then he lowered my food again on the Friday. And looking back in photos, I didn't see it at the time, but looking back in photos, like there's nothing to me. Like I just like there's no separation. Blah 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 blah. So I basically just went back to what I know, mate. I went back to Nick. Nick and I are really close friends, so he took me back in a heartbeat, and he knows fine how I operate. Like as a junior, you know, I was doing a whole week of like 1,500 grams of carbs for 7 days and things like that. So he knows that I need to fucking eat to get full. And we worked out at the PCA British, which was my fullest look to date in 2019. We fucking nailed it in terms of fullness. So we know what we need to do this time round. So the good thing is that, like, for instance, my current training day is about 160 carbs, which is fucking low. But my high days, like, it was 850 yesterday, but it's been up to 1,000. So
cycle at the moment.
What was that, sorry?
You want a carb cycle? Do you run like a certain amount of low days in the high day, or is it auto-regulated? Or
we just keep it simple. We just kind of do a high day on a Monday, which is my back day. So yeah, it's just like that, mate. If we have done a few times where I think it was like 3 weeks ago, I woke up on Thursday and I was like, I'm flat as shit. And he was like, cool, put the high day in. So there's been a few occasions like that. But we had the high days in 3 days a week up until 9 weeks out. So, you know, I wasn't really suffering until I got back from Dubai. And yeah, but it's definitely worth the treat. And then I go see Nick on a Sunday afternoon as well. I see him in person. And that, for me, is not. That's what I told Patrick. I said to him, look, I need to see a coach face to face, because photos do not convey how flat I am. It's because the lighting that I take my photos in my gym, it's really flattering, and it can make you look really full.
Yeah.
And like, I remember looking at the photos going, I like that photo, but fucking hell, I am not that full. And obviously Patrick's getting the wrong kind of information that way. So Nick sees me in person. He's like, right, okay, I know exactly what we need to do from here. So it's definitely worked out well. So
definitely helps getting that type of feedback. Like my check-in today, Joe was like, this is good. I think from now on, he was like, I'd like to see you. She's like, next week, let's meet up. He was like, I'll come to you, or you come to me, or whatever. So we're gonna do it once a week or once a fortnight from now up till the show. Like you said, this is a different type of feedback, isn't it? Being able to see move and how, like, it's my body it's ridiculously responsive in terms of in the morning. So, you know, some people wake up and they're like, yeah, I'm peeled, I look good. I was like, I fucking hate my look in the morning. It's so flat. I'm like, I look a little boy. And then 2-3 meals in, 4 liters of water, it's like, oh, fuck, sick. Like, as I posted, I think yesterday or the day before, you know, a couple meals in, just finished training, and I was like, you know, you just feel like, yeah, this is good.
Alive.
And I think that's kind of when you know you start to get some, you know, decent level of muscle now, because if it's not full, you feel it and you can visually see it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I must be the only one that wakes up looking my best.
Yeah, you are.
I think honestly I am. I look my best in the morning. See, after like a meal or two, I'm fucked.
That's the beauty of like bodybuilding, how everyone's different, and then how you have to learn your body and manipulate it for a prep and a peak.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing, I know.
Yeah, because even like we were just saying there, like being face to face with a coach is amazing. Like I learned that from like Jamie firsthand at Arnold's. It was like every meal almost he was like there checking me, and it was literally like changing the meal as how I looked. But it was literally like the night before the Arnold's, he was like, just go have a fucking Five Guys. I went and did that, and I just woke up like nuts. And he was just like, perfect, don't eat. And it was literally like I stayed full. I just managed to hold that fullness and crispness. And I just got drier and drier as the time went on. He was like, oh, I just had like a little bit of salmon with some fucking rice cakes and jam. That was it. And that's all I had like the whole time until I went on stage, and I was fine.
Love that.
It's just strange how like I wake up like always my best. I can hold it, whereas everyone else will probably go really flat.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's about, like you say, how you load and things like that too. Because when we peaked for these shows, it was interesting because he was like, we'll do a control day, and then we'll see if we need any food on the day. So like on the last show for Norway, my last carbs were on the Friday. We did the fat load on the Saturday, and then I had 0 carb on the day of the show on the Sunday.
Yeah.
And normally I'd be like, you know, the thought of doing 0 carb for like a day and a half is like, I'm going to look flat and shit. But the load was enough to fill me up. And then obviously I wasn't doing any, you know, glycogen intensive activities, you know, no training, no steps. I was doing a few steps, just walking around. So everything that I loaded with remained loaded, so to speak, stayed full, but also incredibly lean. So like I say, that wouldn't work for, say, you may need more, you probably need more food. But like that's the thing where everyone's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying like face to face with a coach, they can see that instead of like just being told this is the plan, blah blah blah.
Yeah, mate, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so true.
I DM'd you at the time, but how the fuck did you get a Papa John's off of Patrick?
Mate.
Because like honestly, mate, because I was so flat and so depleted.
Yeah.
Every time I sent a check-in to Patrick, I would say to my training partner, I better be getting a fucking pizza today because Joe got one. How the fuck has he got one? And I'm flat as shit and I'm not getting anything.
No idea where that came from. Honestly, it was one of them points, you know, when you're just like really fucked and you're just like, oh man, I'd love that. And I'd just eaten a meal as well because for some reason he didn't get back to me till quite late that day. And he was like, hey mate, go and have a cheat meal. And I was like, what? Who said that? I was like, what the fuck? He's adamantly against cheat meals, isn't he? And then I was like, he was like, you sure you can eat it? It's a little bit late. I was like, bro, don't worry about it. I got this.
I'm staying up.
Going in, I was like, Papa John on speed dial, let's go. Mate, I love that.
mate,
Obviously know what Jordan's like when like running high days, and it's like he just throws them at you willy nilly.
Yeah, I was having probably fucking Papa John's every like 5-6 days.
It's literally like you're looking at photos and you're like full, touch flat, right, mate? 1,000 grams of carbs, get that shit in.
Yeah,
it's like have it with these sources like bagels, cereal, fucking all that stuff. Like no problem.
Yeah, love
It's
that.
like willy nilly. It's like a touch flat. It's like, oh, go and have this, mate.
Faithful as a house.
Yeah, always. Fucking was strange how everyone just does it totally different.
Mate, crazy. Everyone's a different response, isn't it?
Yeah. Would you say this is probably your best prep so far?
Which one, sorry?
You like right now. Would you say this is probably your best prep so far? How you're looking out and like how you feel?
Do you know what, mate? I honestly don't even feel like I'm on prep. Like I said to you a minute ago, I'm full. Like my food's still pretty high. My food, well, so just had a week just gone. Obviously, week just gone just now. We did like a week of deload training and a diet break. So food was up, same foods, just up by about 850 cal. So it was about 4,800 calories last week. Week before, my diet was 3,950, and body weight's just slowly coming down. But I mean, 3,950, 4,000 calories is, it's a pretty decent amount of food to keep someone pretty full. And that was the picture from yesterday, day before, I think. We've done a lot of work on a lot of my feedback last year was top line, chest, delts. Yeah. So we've done a lot of work, basically top line specialization programs since we started working together back in September, October time last year. Pretty much been training an upper lower split the whole time, 6 sessions a week, which seemed like that's more than I've ever done before. I've never done 6 sessions a week because I've always trained low volume, pretty much like you, Greg, like low volume to failure, nothing left in the tank, sort of top set back off type vibe. And that's just the way I've always trained. So to go then start with Joe, I knew he had a different approach, but I was like, I'm open-minded as a coach, as an athlete, as a human being. So I was like, look, let's do it. He's coaching some really good guys. His knowledge on everything around bodybuilding, training, nutrition, drugs, application of all of these things into bringing people onto stage and peaking them is very good. So we jumped in. Obviously, the training itself, as you guys know, like he uses an RIR approach, and this is something I kind of wanted to, I guess, touch on the podcast today, because it gets obviously a horrendous rap. Everyone's like, "Oh, I trained to fire, bro." I'm like, okay, yeah, I do.
I think that's like the vast majority of the questions we've got, actually.
Yeah, what was it? Just talking about like
they just wanted to feel like you're like how you feel about doing it compared to where you've come from. It's like a bit controversial to the way people kind of think and train at the moment, I guess. Well, but what was your weight on stage like last time you were there?
Varied over the shows. Between the regional was 116, which I wouldn't say count is because I wasn't fully down. I probably varied between just under 113 to just about 114 and a half, so about 2 kilogram variance.
So you started this prep quite light, didn't you?
Yeah. So obviously we competed last show was October. This show was April, so we had what's that, 7 months, something like that. So we're like, right, we'll do 4 months pushing up and then 3 months come back down. There's only so far you can go up. So we pretty much, I stayed on diet the whole time in terms of like, I wasn't just eating shit, and I was having like probably 2 off meals a week, something like that. And I feel like my physique can get away with that quite easy. I'd probably have an off meal every day, to be fair, season, and be fine. But I had that like thought process in my head. I was like, right, I'm still on prep. Do you know what I mean? That was my thought process. I'm competing in April, even though it's like November. I'm still on prep really, because my show's not even that. It's like 24 weeks away, whatever it was. Not long. So we pushed it. Well, we had a period obviously coming off cycle, sorting out nutrition, health, etc., which was all absolutely sound. Literally I've never seen my bloods like it. Every single thing was in range, apart from like creatinine and stuff like that. Was just and like even all like my cholesterol was all in, which is not fucking well out of whack. But that's something as well. Joe was like, he's like, I guarantee you, every single time we get your bloods done, everything will be in range. He was like, I can pretty much guarantee you that, apart from maybe the odd thing here or there. Whereas before, fuck me, I get my bloods done, and you guys probably had it before. When you feel it, you're like, I know they're going to be bad, because I feel like I know it's going to be bad. Fuck that 2020 prep when we did the British finals, Greg, in Watford, mate, I was pickled. Pickled. Did like a 10-month prep to get getting pushed back and back. But yeah, I think I digressed a bit there. We were going to talk about was it training you wanted me to go down the avenue?
Yeah, please, mate, if you touch on what it is, yeah.
So firstly, I want to say, like, everyone always asks me about like the enjoyment factor, and I think as an athlete and a coach with my clients, the element of enjoyment factor is extremely important, obviously, because we don't just bodybuild just to compete. We bodybuild, if we didn't compete, we'd still bodybuild because we enjoy training and the stimulus and the stuff that gives us, and obviously being in shape is pretty cool. So do I enjoy the training setup as much as what I was doing before? Probably not. That doesn't mean I don't enjoy it. I do enjoy it. Has it elicited a better result? What I think personally, yes, I think it has. I think I have a better look now in a relatively short space of time than I did last year. Obviously, we're going to improve year on year anyway, so there's going to be elements of just getting better over time, no matter what you do. But I think that largely comes down to hugely, the balance of fatigue management, recovery, sleep, and stress. Whereas before, not saying I wasn't keeping those things in mind, but I would just be pounding all the time without really letting off the gas, because that's what we do. Like when we're let loose, we just fucking go and go and go. And it takes someone to kind of pull us back to say, like, just, chill out and pull back over. And that took me a little while to get my head around. It really did. It genuinely did. He's like, right, I don't want you to train to failure. I was like, that's all I know. I was like, that's all I know. So luckily, I don't know if you guys know Matt Strong from the Physique Collective. Fortunately, he randomly just moved to Cheltenham on his own, probably like mid-summer last year when I was finishing my prep, and we kind of just started to get to know each other. And then obviously, another reason I started talking to Joe was via Matt as well. And then when I started this prep, me and Matt decided we were going to start training together. He literally lived, I can probably see his house from here, just down the road there. It was just like good timing. So Matt's like a bodybuilder, but he doesn't compete, but he understands all the principles that obviously Joe uses, etc. So training with him has been an incredible help, because he's helped me kind of get my head around the process that we need to do and kind of keep me on the right track instead of just going all guns blazing all the time. Because what we've been doing essentially is an accumulative volume approach over a 4-week mesocycle. So we'd have a 4-week training block, right? Week 1 is lower, I don't want to say low volume, it's lower volume. Say, for example, roughly 3 sets per exercise, something like that. And in these sessions, I'll have the upper and lower. So upper would be usually 2 chest exercises. You've probably seen like a lot of cuffed work, which I think has a great benefit to bringing up my chest. I've always been strong, but the chest has always been a weak point, or not necessarily weak, but lagging behind. Like my delts aren't like, not that my delts and arms are amazing or anything, they're getting better, but chest has always been a weak point compared to say back and legs, for example, which has always taken over. So it's always been strong, and it's really hard for me to just, as all of us, like remove the ego a little bit and just focus on. It sounds so fucking simple when you're like, can you actually feel the movement? Can you get off the set and be like, oh shit, that is actually, fully deep within my chest. So sometimes I get off and, be doing like a heavy dumbbell press or a heavy incline Smith press or something. I'll be like, moving loads of tin, get off and I'm like, yeah, that felt good, but like, and then I do like a cuffed fucking chest fly, but like, that feels just so much better. But still do the heavy shit. It's just a kind of a different approach, and we do all that stuff first. So anyway, there'll be like a couple of chest exercises, 1 back exercise, which is usually lat focused because my lats were more of a weakness than the thickness of my back. Then we do usually a bicep and a tricep. That would be upper. So there's only like 5, maybe 6 exercises per session. But because the volume accumulates over time with the course of the mesocycle, it gets to the point where you're doing quite a lot of sets. So for example, week 1 would be like, say, 3 sets, and we'd be doing 3 RIR. This was the hardest week for me to get my fucking So leaving 3 reps in reserve, I was just like, I found it hard, to be honest, to do that. And, but then after you've gone through one mesocycle into the next, it starts to make sense, because the first time you're doing it, you're like, oh, I don't feel like I fucking done anything. So then you do week 2, 2 RIR, but you got another set. Week 3, 1 RIR, which when you know how to train properly and effectively to failure, 1 RIR for me is probably the magic number. Because then when you obviously go into 0 RIR, then you're getting those like the grinder reps, which are obviously hugely beneficial in the reps that you have to take when you're doing low volume, because you're doing low volume, you have to create that stimulus. Whereas if you're doing a little bit higher volume, 1 RIR for me is kind of like the magic number. But I don't really program RIR much for my clients, because most people, with respect, can't truly train to failure. Like I would say,
they do that anyway.
Yeah, there's RIR in there anyway. Obviously. So then over the course of the mesocycles, then you get to week 3 and 4 are fucking hard, because you're doing like, I was doing 6 sets, for example, on the pendulum in week 4, which is all to failure. That just destroyed me, absolutely fucking destroyed me. And obviously, because you've accumulated the volume from week 1, 2, 3, 4, you kind of have that adaptation, like kind of getting used to it. And each week it's getting harder in terms of intensity. So the volume and the intensity is progressing over the course of the meso. And then you've put, I don't know if you've seen other people who do like a similar approach. They call it hell week, because the volume's high, the intensity's high, and there's absolutely no way that you could continue a training block like that, because you'd be fucked. Like the point of it is to functionally overreach, essentially overtrain your body. So you get to a point of like, you're fucked, like fatigue's high, you start a little bit. So you functionally overreach. And then in the 5th week, you take a programmed in deload, where we still train, you just drop the load off, and you just basically nowhere near failure. It's essentially just going in, doing the same exercises, getting a bit of a pump, and out you go. It's kind of like 40 minutes, just enough stimulus so that we're not regressing, so to speak. But when you're doing it properly, that week is like pretty welcomed, because the thought of me normally doing a deload, I've never done a deload week in my life ever. I can't imagine you have either, Greg, to be honest.
I do. I've not done a while, but I do them if I fucking need them. Yeah. It gets to that point where I'm like trying to reach for something. I was like, oh, my joints.
Yeah.
Oh, my hand can't even grip the fucking
needed. And you know when you need one. And then at the end of this block, you're like, fuck, like I need that. And then it's like any other training program, you progressively overload. So next time I go in, I'm doing the same thing that I did last week at 3 RIR, but I've got more weight, or do a little bit more within the rep range. And then I'm in the 3rd block, and then it's getting harder and harder. And I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to see the benefits of this, and I had to stick with it. You know what I mean? I really had to stick with it, and I'm not trying to sell it to anyone at all. It's just obviously the approach that Joe uses and that I've done, and we're starting to see some nice progress with it.
I mean, for me, I'm not going to sit here and like say that doesn't work, because obviously Joe Jefferson has an incredible mind and he knows what he's doing. I think it would take a much cleverer person to program you, other than say like you watch what Jordan does, and it's like, I want to get strong, I'm going to pick you up and put you down again. I'm going to do it until I fucking pass out, and then I'll do a back off set. Done. That's like simple shit. That's like caveman stuff, and it's like it's effective. But where you're like, oh, this is very scientific. It's not just something people can look at and pick up and program themselves. I don't feel they could do that.
Absolutely not. So we look at like the total volume parameters over the course of the week. There's double volume on chest and delts compared to everything else. Like arms, back, quads, hams, glutes is all literally at maintenance volume. So everything there has just been a maintenance, and we've just literally driving the volume through the chest and delts, which looking back at pictures and comparing them, and I'm like, oh shit, my chest is like genuinely grown, genuinely grown more than it ever has before, because I'm putting a direct focus on it and not just training it more, the way in which I'm actually doing it, like taking a lot of emphasis on the setup of the movements, what feels good. If something doesn't feel good, I'll tell him, we'll video it, we'll look at it, can we improve execution? If not, maybe it's just an exercise that just don't feel, we'll change it. And that's something that's like we're quick to change if we need to. And now like we've got an approach which is like everything's nailed on. I've pretty much been, I have been doing the same program since I started with him back in October. So we're just doing the same thing on repeat, on cycle, and going from there.
Yeah, this is literally like when you see everybody back squatting and they genuinely think that's how you grow big legs, and you go look at like 90% of like top bodybuilders, none of them back squat. Right. And it's literally because it just doesn't genuinely work. Like I've said 100 times, Andy, you're probably the only person I feel that can genuinely do back squats in the work. I don't know anybody who could do back squats in the work as well as what you get out of them. I can't do them. I literally can't do them. It just grows my ass even fatter. There's no connection to my quads or anything to it.
So true.
And it's literally like that has taken time for people to realize this. Whereas like you're like picking exercises now that you genuinely feel and they're working for you. And it's not just because like, oh, I'm going to go do like incline Smith because that builds muscle. It's like you might not connect with it, but you're picking exercises you genuinely feel and it's worked.
I've been very, I would say, strict and specific with that as well. And if I don't feel something, I'm not wasting any more time doing it. Whereas before, because I could move weight doing it, I just do it because it was fun. Like,
it takes so long to adapt that and actually genuinely realize that. It takes quite a long time.
100%, just a general bit of maturity as well in it. And obviously, like, we love training, but at the end of the day, it kind of is, it is a business for us. It is like, we're trying to get something that's fucking hard to get. Therefore, we can't just, do what's fun. So you wouldn't get like a Formula One driver turn up to the track and be like, oh, I'm just doing laps today, lads. It's like, no, we've got strategy and something that in place. It may not be, the funnest thing that you want to do at the time, but it's the thing that is most effective to get you to the goal that you want to reach. And like one thing I want to say as well on RAR is hopefully that explanation kind of explained it and how it does get really hard. Like it's genuinely really, really difficult. Yes, week 1 and maybe week 2 are kind of easier, especially when you first start the program, because you're only getting to feel of the weights and you're like, this is kind of like, so when you start progressively overloading it through the course of the mesos, it gets really hard. Into week 3 and 4, like you're begging for that deload after. Yeah. Obviously everyone thinks RAR, they think, oh, you never train to failure, you're only ever doing RAR, you're always leaving shit in the tank. And that's not the case. I mean, I have seen programs that do that. I actually trained with Jordan when he first tried RAR. we were doing this program. It was when we were training in MJ's in Tewkesbury, and we were doing like 5 RAR, and then next week it was like 4 RAR, and then the week after it was fucking boring. There was not enough progression with it, and there wasn't any progression as well in terms of the proximity to failure, which is like I like doing it because I know week 1 and 2 are okay, but I know what's coming. And I'm like, fuck. Like, when you get nervous for like, when you got those fucking 8-plate hack squat sets, Greg, and you're thinking about that shit for a whole week, aren't you? It's kind of like...
If you had to do 6 sets of that, I'd sit in my car for hours crying beforehand. I would not be able to get in the gym. Like, fucking no.
I actually said on that session, that specific session, I was like, I can't do 6 sets of that.
I couldn't. I genuinely couldn't.
6 fucking sets.
No, even if like it was like a plate or 2 plates off what I would normally do, I'd be like, nah, I'm not going in the gym. You can fuck this.
Fully, I remember that one session, I just fully buried myself, and it was the last one for the deload, just before prep actually. And on that deload, instead of taking a deload, I took a week off, and that's the first time I've ever done that. I just didn't train for a week, and I was fucked for about 4 days after that one session.
Yeah, the CRS stress on that would have been nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then obviously, but that's when you take feedback. We speak to Joe, and then we're like, right, max we do is 4 sets, and then we'll just do 2 leg extensions, for example. We'll just add in another exercise, same volume, but obviously the loading is completely different from a pendulum or hack compared to a leg extension, where we can do stuff like controlled eccentrics or giant set or whatever it is. But I think playing around with that kind of stuff's important, and also being auto-regulatory, whereas like you're reactive to what happens as opposed to just that's the plan, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, remember that week, Andy, I said to you, I was texting you, and I said, like, how much you can genuinely fuck yourself, like, after legs, like, just how, like, I was shaking, I was in bed, like, shaking, shivering. It was like, just because I fucked myself up that bad in legs. Like, I'm trying to imagine that, like, that mental approach, like, someone like, say, Jordan can put into a set. Imagine trying to do it into a hack squat set for 6 sets. Like, I'd be in bed for days. You would not want to leave. You'd be fucking ruined.
A working set and a back off's bad enough, let alone 6.
It was 4 sets of 6 to 10, and then it was 2 sets of 10 to 15. It was the 2 sets of 10 to 15 that wrote me off the worst. Like, fucking. I remember when I'd done the first one, I was like, when you're on the deck, like, and I was like, fuck, I've got to do that again.
You're waking up like weeks after that, screaming with nightmares. It's like, no.
Horrendous. We finished that, we still had to do calves and abs, and I was just like whimpering over, like 2.5 hour session of it. That was horrendous. But yeah, just for the RIR haters, if you do it properly, it's very effective. But of course, you have to be, I think, of a certain, I guess, training caliber to be able to effectively get the most out of it. Because if you're not, you're just going to be so far away from any kind of training stimulus. It's going to elicit a hypertrophic effect that it just renders it pointless.
I think that's the general comment when, like, the RIR is you really need to be an advanced or like really in tune with your training to be able to know where to stop, where to push, and so on. It's like a general gym pop person, like we said before, like they don't know what failure is. So like, how do they know where that really is?
Yeah.
It's very kind of tough to really mentally think about.
100%, man, 100%. Is that what most of the questions were about? Was it?
There was a couple of people like wanted to know your input, and I kind of said a couple of comments back of just like, I feel like they said who would be best for, and I said for me personally, I think maybe a beginner, because they don't know where their point of failure is. So wherever they thought, say, the like 3 shy is, next week they would easy get 2 shy. Next week they would easy get 1 shy. It would be a great way to progress in that sense. I felt that would be the best kind of people to hop on that program.
With straight up beginners, like true beginners as well, you don't want them training to failure anyway, because their form's just going to break down. So shy of failure is definitely a good approach for complete true beginners. And then it's like the intermediates, people who are strong but maybe haven't quite got the mental capacity like we have to truly take a set to failure. Then potentially they probably wouldn't be the people to do it, because they got the strength. They need to just train as hard as they can. So yeah, you're totally right with that. Keeping beginners away from failure training is good. They just haven't got the neural capacity to be able to do those sets.
What are some of the other questions, Greg?
I'm just waking up.
How you finding the diet at the moment, Andy? Are you hungry, or what are you saying? You're like, fuck, I just forgotten about it.
I'm fucking reminded now. No, mate, I'm dying, but it's I've been on prep this long now, mate. It's you know what I mean. You just used to feeling like fucking shite. So it's, I know no different. Honestly, that's what I was saying to Reagan. Actually, my girlfriend, was that I'm a little bit like apprehensive about coming off this prep now, because I'm like, what the fuck do I do? I'm gonna have energy and like freedom and shit. Like what is that? Because before this prep started, I started this kind of season just before lockdown ended. So before that, I've been in a year's lockdown as part of the lockdown process and stuff. So technically, I've been locked down in some sort of way for almost 2 and a bit years. So I'm like, this is going to be weird, like coming off this prep. So
we get taken out of jail. Don't know what to do.
Oh yeah, I know, mate. I know. Well, we're going to, after the Arnold, we're going to spend a day on the Saturday. We're going to both pro shows, the Friday and Saturday. So that's going to be awesome. And then we've got 4 days in New York after it. So I'm definitely going to be living the high life anyway. So it's going to be good.
Right, just a quick one on the pro show. How fucking nuts does Brett's back look?
Do you see the one where he's walking
in the hall? I was like, what the fuck is that? Oh, Jesus. He's going to do well. He really will do well.
I saw that earlier. That's mental. That is actually crazy.
There's a vast majority of questions here. Quite a lot of them are about eating in the off season. One of the guys was any tips on how to get calories maxed out in the off season with good digestion?
Well, one thing I think is a lot of people go up too fast, and I think you've got to get the most from each level up that you get with your calories. Taking a good jump initially off the back of a prep or something like that is a good idea to fill out. But say if you jump straight to like fucking, I don't know, 5,500, 6,000 calories, you'll find it hard, and then you're 130 kilos, Greg. You can get away with that shit.
I don't know, like
most people. I mean, I think being on it with regards to meal timings, it's quite. I find it harder to get up in off season. I just do, and you're bigger and you want to sleep more. But getting up, eating early always helps. So if you can get up, eat a meal, even if you go back to bed or do a bit of work and then have a nap or whatever, it sounds a little like awkward. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to do shit that you need to do, something you've never been, you've got to do stuff you've never done before. I remember when I was with Jordan, we were doing like, I'd have to wake up in the night and have a fucking like oil and protein shake. It was like 600-700 calories just to get more calories in the middle of the night.
That's what I was doing. I had a blended shake next to bed, and like I would wake up every night for a piss, and when I had that, I was just having a shake. I was just like generally because I just couldn't eat much more through the day, and I was just having to put one next to bed at night because I wasn't going to go downstairs and cook a meal. Like, fuck that.
I think maxing calories out gets to a point where I think blending food or having a combination of not necessarily blended food but shakes is quite a good idea. I use the bulk powders, do like gluten-free fine oats. So I do like 200 grams of that, like a protein portion, some nut butter, some honey, banana, whatever. You can do like a nearly 2,000 calorie shake.
Yeah.
And pretty much you can get that down in like less than a minute. And you're like, that's meal one, done. I was having 3 of those a day. They're about 1,500 calories each. So that's 4,500 calories in 3 shakes. And then I'd have the rest would be meals throughout the day. Because I'd find, when you're having like, you're trying to get it all from whole food, it's like, I personally just find it hard to get it all in. You're probably the same as those foods of volume is just grows and grows and grows. It's hard to get it in. So then I'd have fucking 350 grams of rice, of chicken, and then I'd start putting other things in like squares bars, which are higher in calories. They tend to digest quite well. Also in the off season, I massively go off cream of rice. I just fucking hate cream of rice.
I'm the same.
I'm not quite there yet with it on prep. I know that's where I know I'm not hungry yet because I had it last night. Because with my food at the moment, I just I pretty much follow the same thing daily, but if I want to have something different, I track it and I just hit my macros. That's not to say I'm putting in like fucking pizza and ice cream for anyone who's like, oh, you're gonna hit your macros. Like I eat the same foods, but like I might eat it in a different order, or I might be like, oh, I'm gonna have cream of rice instead of oats or something. Like that, which are quite.
I can speak from experience with this right now. I was like up about 7,000 calories, and I was just like feeling really uncomfortable, but like my weight wasn't changing from what it was, and I had a stomach bug. I came back and my appetite was okay, and then I've got this kind of cold virus type thing going on, and my appetite just went completely out the window. So I mailed Jamie like my diet and like what I was feeling like and doing, and he was just like, right, okay, we'll do this. And he sent me back a plan, and it was literally like almost half the food I was eating. And I was like, mate, I'm going to drop weight so fucking quick. My weight's not changing at 7'1". I don't see why this is going to fucking help. He was like, just give it a try. It's all like clean whole foods, see how it processes. And my weight hasn't really changed.
That's mad, isn't it?
Which is very strange. It's just like, he's like, you're just eating so much food and you were slowing down your digestion so much with fats. He was like, you're having the same amount of volume, but it's like less calories.
Yeah.
So like the volume of rice and chicken, and it's like all meat. There's like one shake in the day. He's like, it'll just process much better. And it's like so strange. I've dropped like 2.5 3,000 calories from my daily intake, but my weight's holding.
That's crazy.
It is, but it just shows you like what your body can process to what your body's not processing, and you feel shitty. Is just massive to like how much you're going to progress in an off season. Where people are just like calories, food, bang, bang, nail it. It's like if you're not processing or digesting that, it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
So my main tip is like what you can process and you feel good eating. It doesn't like ruin your digestion, appetite, or anything like that. Then that's the foods for you.
Yeah, just taking, like you say, taking your time to get up there is like I said a minute ago, is important, because then you get each increment of weight gain rather than getting up there and it's like, fuck, where am I going from here? And I find as well, actually, that's one of the reasons when I was with Patrick that we actually started prepping to do that show, because I was originally planned on doing the Arnolds with you guys. Going to do, and then the graph didn't show into the Arnolds, but I was at that point in off season. We were doing, I think it was about 6,500 calories, and like I said, my appetite was just shit. I just felt like shit. My digestion wasn't great by any stretch of imagination. Started to affect training a little bit as well. You know, sleep becomes poor, and all those are just the markers that like you need to just take a step back.
Yeah,
we had a conversation. It was like, right, we haven't really got time to, you know, diet break and pull back. It's like we may as well just prep and just do an earlier show. And that's when, at that point, that's why I wasn't like ready for the regional. Because it's like, oh fuck, if we go now, we've got the only regional there is 7 weeks. I was like, okay, I can look good enough to stand on stage by then, so let's just do it. So that's what we did that. So that's another thing as well. Once you get high, you know, a bit of advice for me, once you get high, if it's to the point where you're bashing it away, your weight's not going up, you've got all of those factors just mentioned, just pull back for a bit. Just take 2 weeks, you know, however long you need to just kind of pull back until you get hungry again, and then start adding in again. You don't necessarily have to go up to where you were. Just add in a couple, 200-300 calories, leave it a week, do it again, and just incrementally go up again.
Yeah, no, 100%.
What's your biggest hate in the bodybuilding world?
Biggest hate in the bodybuilding world? Fake failure. Faking failure.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Worst. You know, and people are like, and you're like, bro, like you're so fucking far from failure, I can't bear it.
Yeah. It's the worst when like you see them like complete the rep absolutely fucking piss easy, and they'll go down for another rep and pin themselves at the bottom. Like,
where's that
fucking bitched out so bad there.
Mate, it's so true as well. It's so true. Oh man, that's definitely one of my biggest hates. And what's another one? When people film themselves in the gym, right, and then get pissed off when someone walks in front of their camera. Oh, you know, and they stop their set for it. Like, are you that not into your training that you're thinking?
I wouldn't even notice if somebody walked past the camera because I'm so into the set.
You wouldn't, would you? Go, oh, stop there, mate.
I don't even know where I am in like my hack squat sets. Never mind somebody walks past the camera.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like, eyes are fucking going opposite directions, and also
what I hate is the guys that like sip Monster pre-intro and post.
Oh,
what the fuck is that about? How can you drink
that? In the sets. Oh,
fuck that. You're not training hard if you're drinking Monster for, pre-workout. You're not.
I'd be sick, 100%.
Yeah. Such a fucking like commercial gym PT thing to do, like the whole can of Monster or reviewing flavors and shit. Like, fuck off. That is dire chat. That is so shit.
Part of the bodybuilder starter kit.
Definitely. Worst and best decision you've ever made in your career?
That's a hard one. That. What's the worst decision? Worst decision was probably carrying on with prep in 2020. I was just in the worst state, physically and mentally, to carry on with that prep. Like, obviously it was all COVID. I'd just gone through a breakup. Prep got extended. I was on so much drugs at the time. You know, to probably not pull the pin on that. But then you know what it's like. We have dreams, and if anything, maybe that was a good decision, because maybe it kept me fucking semi on it. I don't know. That was potentially, I don't know, that was a good / bad decision.
Even these bad things, I think it turns out to be a good thing because it teaches you a lesson.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably a bad thing at the time, but it turns out like now you can look back and say that was fucking stupid, but I learned from it.
And I can definitely know I'm more in tune with my body now and how I should feel, or definitely how I shouldn't feel. And if I ever felt like that again, I'd be like, right, pulls plug, because to the point my body just wasn't doing anything. Like, it wasn't changing. I was just having to take so much gear just to even remain where I was. I remember coming off stage, first show I'd ever not placed that in that British finals. And I was just so disappointed because that's the longest, hardest prep I'd ever done. And I got nothing from it. And then I decided to go again in Spain to like get fucking, I don't know, something out of it. Didn't place again. And I was like, fuck. That was like the worst year of like, I don't know, and not to put a negative spin on it, but there was a lot of shit that didn't go good for me that year. I think that's allowed me to kind of take, I don't know, look at things a little bit differently through a different eye, so to speak. With regards to the best thing I've ever done, I think probably just make the choice to make this my life, I suppose. Like, I could have gone down a very different avenue when I was a little bit younger or on the cusp of coming into bodybuilding. I used to love like going out and festivals and parties and stuff like that, and that could have led me down a very different path than what I'm on now. And I've always had the passion for bodybuilding, and I'm so glad and happy that I just committed to this process. I watched one of Hollingshead's videos today, actually, where he was still talking about how bodybuilding is so simple, and he was like, bodybuilding really is simple. We just do the same shit over and over, and the good guys are the guys that just keep fucking doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like, you get guys who could be amazing, but they just get a little bit bored, or, you know, they can't be asked, they don't see the gains that they want to see in 1 year. He was like, dude, he's like, I've been competing for 15 years. He was like, look, and I'm just getting to, you know, I only went pro, 3 years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he can't come into his own. I was like, that fucking hit home for me. He was like, because he started competing in 2008, I think he said. And I was like, okay, that's 6 years competing ahead of me. Not that I'm comparing myself to Hollingshead in any way, but like, it just makes you think like, fuck, he's been grinding for this long and this long and this long. And I'm like, that just makes me like happy that I've made the decision to commit and go down the route that I have. I actually remember when I made the decision to go from classic to open, and quite a few people at the time were almost like negative that I'd made that decision. They're like, you realize what that's going to take, right? Like, your life's going to change. Like, everything that you're going to have to do now as bodybuilding, you're like, you know, the risks you have to take, the things you have to do. And I was kind of like,
yeah,
let's fucking go. I'm here.
Things we love that, but that's like when people are thinking like, oh, I couldn't fucking do it. I was like, that's fine, don't do that because you can't. Yeah, it's like I revel in that thought of doing this shit.
Yeah, exactly. Now, when people say like, oh, do you know what? I wouldn't really want to look like you. You fucking couldn't anyway, bro.
No, mate. You could do what I do. Don't even compare yourself.
Yeah, you could do it anyway. And, you know, and I think, yeah, so I guess it sounds a bit like corny, so to speak, but probably the best decision is to just commit to this process and this lifestyle. It's brought me so much joy and value and passion and friends like you guys. And it's annoying because, well, not annoying, it's great, but like, got friends fucking all over the country. You know? I wish we could like all be in like some little central hub. But it's cool because, you know, the industry is big, but it's small at the same time. And I think there's really fucking cool guys in it. And just not even just from a bodybuilding perspective, but also from a business and I guess a personal development and growth side of things. A lot of the bodybuilders that I know, like you two included as well, are very switched on up there in terms of what you're doing with your lives and your careers. It's not just, oh, bodybuilding. It's like, okay, what can we, you know, how can we also make a living out of this, and you get something on the side of it so we can support ourselves and our families and things like that too. That's been definitely of value and allowed me to like build not just my physique and my career, but also, you know, well, I suppose not just my physique and my bodybuilding career, but also my actual career and coaching and stuff like that too. So yeah,
I'd definitely say that was probably my best decision as well. Just like jumping straight in to do this full time, and like obviously supporting myself through the coaching as well. But like imagine to leave a full-time job to more concentrate on like my training and the meals getting in and my rest recovery, like the difference that made to my physique and my career in the bodybuilding, that was just massive in that year I done it. So that was definitely the best decision I made. I think the worst is probably the amount of time I've wasted like overtraining and probably under dieting, like probably not eating enough, but like training so fucking hard, so many sets and reps through that time period. I just wasted my physique away, as like I couldn't grow, and I wondered why. And it was just like I just wanted to do too much.
Yeah, that's so true, and I think it touches back on some of the points you said earlier as well. Like when we just love, and that's like it's not a bad.
I just loved training. It was my downfall at that point.
It's a testament to our passion at the end of the day, but I think it's taken us to get to maybe the point that we're at now to kind of realize, oh fuck, I wish I knew this then. But at the end of the day, it's cool because we've learned, we progressed, and like nothing's a mistake. It's a lesson, that you said earlier, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How about you, Andy?
Worst decision probably to do the Arnold in 2014. I touched on that, like the feelings that I had leading up to that. I was like, I knew I shouldn't have done it, but I did. But I think I've mentioned that on almost every fucking episode of this, so I'm not going to mention that again. Best decision, probably same as you both, is just to make this my life. You know, it's none of us are pro, but we do live like pro bodybuilders. Like everything is geared, no pun intended, around this. So it's sometimes I do forget, especially when you're in like the midst of like where I am contest prep wise, you kind of forget like fucking like, apart from obviously some time I spent during the day like either training clients or posing clients or online clients, like you basically lift weights for a living. Like how fucking mental is that? That's insane. I mean, sometimes I'm like, that is what I do. And you're like, that's incredible that we have that opportunity in this day and age to actually be able to do that. And I do have to remind myself that, you know, I'm living the life basically. You know what I mean? It's
I thought this last week. Like when you think at school, you look at like the sports people, like they're like, fucking hell, what a job. And you never kind of envision like later on years, like I'll be doing bodybuilding, obviously, like this, but it's like, yeah, and it's like fucking hell. Like when I look back at school, like I'm actually there now. Like I do what I love as a job, and it's like piss easy, but it's like I'm doing like I totally love it, and it's very hard to kind of grasp that and take it in.
The thing is that it's not piss easy. It's one of the fucking hardest things you could possibly do.
But it's easy to us because we love it.
It's easy because you love it, exactly. Yeah. So we're lucky that we've all found that. I know it's kind of cheesy in that, but we've all found that passion and that like just that reason for just getting up in the morning. I can't see myself doing anything else, to be honest. You know, so
true, man.
Yeah. It's like you look at. I watched the Bodybuilding Bots podcast the other day, and it's like James and Ian were speaking about, like they didn't say a number, but they said like how much like pretty much they get from their sponsors, and it's like 6 figures, and it's like fuck, what a job. It's like they get paid that much money just to do what they do. Like they don't need to do clients, fuck all. It's like that's it. Their day revolves around training and eating.
Yeah, man.
That's like living dream. Like I actually love listening to James as much as he's like brute force, crazy strong, just like old school bodybuilding. When you hear him speak, it's so like wisdom and methodical and all this stuff. He's such a cool guy to listen to.
Yeah,
he's like a white Kai Green.
Yeah, legit. He
really is
very down to earth, and it's all very real as well, isn't it? Like I said,
very real. It hits home. A lot of stuff he says, like big time. He's a clever guy, like deep down.
Yeah.
Him, when I did the Alicante show in 2020, watched the pro show live when he won it and he did the Luke Sandow tribute. Like seeing that live, that was probably one of the best moments of bodybuilding that I've ever witnessed.
So cool.
That was amazing. That was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
And he's fucking looked insane, man. I'm looking forward to seeing his comeback.
Definitely, that's going to be good.
I think he's doing the UK Arnold. That'll be cool.
Oh yeah, he did say that. Yeah.
That'd be very cool.
Qualify because you do that straight into. Would that be a direct? Yeah, that'd be a direct qualifier for the Olympic.
Yeah.
Would it be for the 2022 Olympia or for the 23 Olympia?
22.
Yeah, 22 because it's in December, so bags of time.
Oh yeah, they've pushed it back still, haven't they?
Yeah, too old fuck.
That'd be mad. What do you boys think about Samson at the moment?
Fucking good.
He's found his stride. Like he's definitely found his stride.
It's as they said, like in the podcast. It wasn't like in a rude way, and like you can probably look at Samson's previous years in training. It was like he didn't apply himself. He just didn't push himself in training. Didn't push himself diet. His diet was very pish, and it was like his missus or wife kind of done it for him. She maybe knows what she's doing, but not to the extent of like a Milos or John Meadows. And when they got hold of him, it was just like, bang, what a fucking difference.
Yeah.
Applying like that kind of aspect of things towards his training and diet.
It's crazy.
It's a massive difference.
His stage presence and posing is just nuts, isn't it? It's so nice to watch. Like that, his posing routine for John Meadows at the Arnold's that you boys did was
emotional.
I should have a tear watching that. I'm not gonna lie.
I think a lot of people did. It was one of probably the most emotional fucking pose down fucking ever.
Between that and the one I just mentioned, James, those two were just like, wow, like how is bodybuilding making me feel like that? It's crazy. It just shows passion in what we do, and it's just nuts. So I love it.
Yeah, I love
it. It's what we do.
It's very rare some people can translate that kind of emotion into posing. You can see it in their face, like their hand movements, the way they flow, and like they can see like it's not just like that. It's like you can see like their arms tensing as like the pose. It's like it's totally emotion in it. Very hard to do that.
100%.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's just going on an hour 15, so don't want to.
Bed.
Well, yeah, I need to go to bed. So I was going to try and say something like, "Oh, the fans, the people watching." I was like, "No, I'm fucked." But no, Joe, we really appreciate you coming on, mate. I think you're the first guest we've had on twice. So, but it's been good to hear about kind of obviously how last season went and where you're going forward. So yeah, we wish you all the best for the Ben Weeder and obviously future shows from that point as well. And
hopefully, you too, bro. Good luck over in America. Hopefully, you get the card. If not, we'll have a dance in Ben Weeder, right?
That'd be class, mate. That'd be class. So yeah, and Greg, I hope your tummy feels a wee bit better.
Yeah, I hope so.
Right, guys. If you've been with us this long, we appreciate it, and remember to subscribe, like, comment, and do all that fancy YouTube stuff. And we'll see you next time. Cheers, guys.
Guys, thank you.